Hey guys, in today's video, I want to show you 3 Claude skills that are fundamental to my writing businesses, to my content businesses, that you absolutely should have, whether you are creating content with Claude for yourself, for your own brand, maybe you're ghostwriting, doing it for clients, doing it for a company, etc., right? So there are already like thousands and thousands, if not more, however many Claude skills out there in the world, on the internet, everywhere. But the thing is, a lot of these skills are meant for development work, right? A lot of them's for coding, debugging, creating apps, stuff like this, stuff that you would never really touch if you're not a developer, if you're dealing with non-development work. And then the ones that are out there, for example, official ones from Anthropic for like productivity and writing and stuff like this, they're great, but they are, specific and oftentimes generic. And the ones I'm going to show you today are all about creating a voice, right? Creating a voice skill, a voice profile skill that you can use before you ever touch any other skill for actual production workflows or work. This is the most important foundation of any system because it's going to dictate what everything else sounds like coming after it, all right? So that's what I'm going to show you today. These 3 skills that all live inside of one plugin that you're going to be able to grab below inside of my Substack. These skills I use every single day, every single week for both myself, my own brand, and all the different businesses I run for clients and companies. But these can be used inside of Claude Cowork, which we're going to do right now. But you can also use these in Claude Code. Like in my day-to-day, running all my businesses, I use Claude Code. It uses the same skills, but I know a lot of you use Cowork, so I'm going to show you right here inside of Cowork. So here I just have a project opened up. This is a fresh project named after me. This is where you would, for example, be building your writing system inside of a single folder. A new thing worth noting, if you don't know already, is that inside of Claude Cowork, they now have this tab here that you can turn it on and basically bypass all permissions, which was one of the main reasons that, I was using and many people use Claude Code. And one of the biggest pain points of Cowork was that you would have to approve everything, right? But now you have this like act without asking. It's in beta still, but you can literally basically turn this into Claude Code, bypass permissions. So that is something worth keeping in mind. But all right, so to start out uploading these, the first one that we're going to look at is a plugin that I put 3 skills in that has to do with your voice. It's like a voice plugin, which is, fundamental to any type of writing or content business. So to upload here, we're in Cowork. On the sidebar, we're going to go to Customize, Personal Plugins. We're going to hit Create Plugin. We're going to upload the plugin, and then I'm going to grab it from my desktop here as a zip file right here. Let me grab it, a voice plugin. You can see I just uploaded the zip file, which will be available in my Substack below. Once you upload this, it's going to put 3 skills right inside of here. And then we'll read through each one so you can see what it is. So we're going to upload it. You can see it right here. It's not showing up in personal plugins, so just do Command R to refresh, and it'll show up right here if it didn't. So now we have a voice plugin, and the description or the point of this plugin is to build, audit, and maintain voice profiles that capture how you or your end client, very important here, not just for you, but for any, ghostwriting or company or anything like that. So your client writes so that Claude produces authentic content, not generic AI output, which is, the biggest thing we want to avoid in any type of serious business. So here you can see the 3 skills we have. We can also click right here. All right, and we have 3 specific skills, each one for a different purpose. The one that you're going to want to start out with, if you don't have a voice profile for Claude, is going to be voice create. So this right here is going to allow you to build a complete voice profile from writing samples and evidence. You can use this when creating a voice profile from scratch for yourself or a client, or you can use it to create one that's inspired by other creators and brand. So basically what you're going to do is run this voice creator, and it's going to create a voice profile skill that you can then keep in Claude. And then anytime you produce content, you can invoke that skill first so that it produces authentic content for yourself or your brand or a client, right? But if you're just somebody brand new and you're trying to break into, creating new newsletters or finding a voice for, your brand or whatnot, you can also use other brands and creators and pull them all together for inspiration, mix it with your own, feedback, your own writing to create a new voice, out of scratch, for example, which I know is useful for a lot of people who, don't have a library of content. They're kind of lost about, what to sound like. They know what they want to sound like, but they've never created content like that. So that will help you out here. So if you can read through the whole voice profile here, it's going to go through a couple steps. So it's going to basically give Claude this role, this persona, as a ghostwriter conducting a voice capture session. Its job is to analyze writing evidence and build a voice profile that lets Claude inhabit this person's voice, not follow a checklist of rules about it. So, I've been developing voice profiles for well over, I would say, probably a year or 2 years now for both myself and clients. Started out a long time ago on, the beginning of Claude and ChatGPT. And what I was doing a long time ago, what a lot of people do, is just create this checklist, right, for the AI to follow. Like, don't do this, don't do that, don't use this phrase, don't use this. Whatever you do, you don't want to create like a type of checklist for Claude to follow, because then you start getting this very uncreate, I don't even know, like it's very monotonous sounding writing. It just sounds like it's basically just checking off a checklist. So then you have content that's always kind of sounding the same, but it's following this checklist. And instead, we want to give it this whole profile, this whole personality, this whole insight into who the individual is, so that it can actually kind of take over that person's persona and write like that individual and still be creative without following a checklist, right? So you can see here in the skill, I wrote it like, think of yourself as a character director, not a style guide writer. The output should give Claude enough internalized understanding to write as this person naturally, not mechanically apply patterns. So it's going to go down and it's going to run you through a few things. We can go ahead and just run this right away so you can see what it looks like. So we'll come back into a chat here. We'll come to my projects. We'll come to Alex. And now we should be able to just come here to our plugins, to our voice here, and we can do voice create. And all you got to do is run this and it should kickstart it right up. All right, so it's going to start loading it up. And the cool thing about this skill is it's going to tell Claude to use these asking you questions and putting them out like this, right? So we're going to see, it's lagging a little bit here, but it's going to say voice profile details. Which track are we building? So the first thing that this voice profile or this voice create skill is going to do is ask you to select these, like are you going to do it based off of your voice? Or are you going to do it for a client? Or are you going to do it for an inspired voice? And then you're going to be able to drop in writing samples here. So either your own writing samples, let's say for me, I would do all of my newsletters, transcripts from my YouTubes, but you can also do, client stuff. You can also do official blogs from companies. You could also just give notes. You can give memos, whatever. It's going to work with whatever you have available. You could also stick a folder of samples in the workspace in your own folder and just point it to that. All right, so that's another option. You could also give some notes about specific stuff to pay attention to. For example, LinkedIn is more polished than their newsletter. I want, whatever. You can give your own little guidance here, right? You're going to pick a track, you're going to drop everything, and then it's going to go through an interview. It's probably going to take you 15, 20 minutes and keep asking you questions until it spits out a voice profile skill that you can use. So that is the first skill that is like the most important one of all that you want to start with, because after that, you can then use these additional skills on top of it. So we have the voice create. Let's say now you have your voice profile created. You can then do a voice audit, which is going to run a quality check on a existing voice profile, find what's strong, what's thin, and what's missing. And you can use this whenever you want to evaluate whether a voice profile is good enough to produce, content, right? So it's going to find the profile, the voice profile skill inside of your Claude, right? And then it's going to evaluate it. It's going to have all these guidelines here that I wrote for good ones. And then it's going to report back to you and give you some recommendations if you want it changed or not. So that's a voice audit that you can run periodically to make sure that your voice is up to date. And then the last skill we have in this plugin is a voice update, which is going to update an existing voice profile. So it's going to fix weak sections, add new evidence, or refresh a stale profile. So let's say after a few weeks, months, however long it takes, let's say you have a client and you're writing for them and you now have a lot more material and feedback from them, you can give all of that into Claude, into Cowork, and you can invoke this voice update, and it's going to take all of that and keep iterating on your voice profile. So this is an iterative process, as all of this should be, and as time goes on, it's just going to keep compounding and getting better and better. So I just want to show you what you can kind of expect when a voice profile comes out of this, right? So if you take a look here, we're looking at my organizational plugins where I have my personal voice plugin or my personal voice skill here. And you could see what this looks like. So this does not look like probably if you've ever even seen a voice profile, or let's even say instructions for Claude, where people will write like project instructions and stuff like, hey, you should sound like this. So you could see that this is very different here, because what's going to happen is it's going to start out by just telling Claude like who this user really is, right? So for me, it's like, you are Alex McFarland, you're 28, originally from the US, currently living in Brazil. And then it starts giving like background stories, right? Depending on what you give it. You started writing $20 horse racing articles on Upwork. You now cross six-figure solo, running a personal brand, ghostwriting for executives, and automated publishing for clients entirely through Claude Code agents. You never hired, never spent a penny on outside help. You built it yourself with systems that compound. Now, this is all true. This is all when Claude was interviewing me on that voice create skill. I was able to, give it some background about myself, and it can really help Claude understand who you are and try to replicate the way you think, or as much as it can, but put that into words, right? And then we'll give it a persona. You are the operator showing the operation, right? Your default register is matter of fact. You're anti-tool bloat and anti-middleman. And then it's going to go down, right? And it's going to give even signature moves, open with an event not set up. And it's going to get this really detailed voice profile that you can use. And it's going to take your output from Claude to a whole nother level. Like you probably have no idea how much better it's going to be. Now, these three skills, these are not random. They're not like standalone, but they're part of a system. They're part of your new voice system that you're going to create, right? And all about how you sound, how your company sounds, how your brand sounds. And together, every piece that you write using these, every piece of content, every whatever, every blog, every newsletter, every transcript is going to be sharper than the last, and it's going to keep compounding and getting better as long as you keep using the update and audit, sub skills. So if you are, building anything that goes out under your name, under a client name, under a brand name, newsletter, ghostwriting, content, this is the first stack of skills you should always start with. So make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to, keep learning how to build out these systems. And you can grab the zip in my Substack for Substack members right below. And all you have to do is drag that zip file right into your Claude Cowork or Claude Code, and you can, within 15 to 20 minutes, have a complete, Claude voice system set up. So make sure to grab it and check it out.